Ian Machado Garry, everyone's favorite cuck in the corner, has been on fire lately. Reddit is absolutely rinsing him. The MMA guru is probably going to come out and absolutely rinse him. Every single person and their dog is clowning on this guy. And rightfully so. Ian Garry is one of the most unlikable douchebags in the UFC. Every single time I try and become a fan of Ian Garry because he's Irish. He's the next coming of Conor McGregor. He's the welterweight McGregor. Oh my God, bro, we're getting Conor versus Khabib part 2 at welterweight. I just can't get behind this guy. I just can't. Every single interview he comes out with, he says something unlikable. He makes himself out to be an absolute douchebag. And even his own family is turning on him. I'll put the quote up on the screen right now and I'll read it out to you. Here we go from Sean Garry, the great Sean Garry. Ian, you're not a victim. You act like we were beaten as kids. We grew up in a middle-class house and had everything we wanted. You're the type of guy to take money off his parents and never pay them back. I think the word is entitled. We had everything a child could need. So this is in response, and that's only part of the quote. This is in response to Ian Garry basically going on a podcast and yarning about how hard he had it growing up. And as much as I hate to say this, it kind of reminds me of Israel Adesanya. You know, I'm a big Izzy fan. Call it double standards. They're both kind of cringe guys, to tell you the truth. But, you know, at least Adesanya's fucking knocking guys out and doing crazy spinning shit. So I can get behind that. And he's actually mellowed out a lot more. But this video is not about Adesanya. There's a lot of parallels to him, though. Because, you know, I remember when Izzy was coming up, he used to talk a lot about, you know, the struggles and, you know, I came from the hood. You know, these guys, like, they want to be oppressed. They want to be oppressed. They want to sound like they came from the fucking slums and became champions because that's the story that sells and that's the story that sounds really fucking inspirational and the type of shit that you see on an Instagram reel with Dream On playing in the background. And it just makes you want, it just gives you a fucking boner and makes you want to go out and fucking chase your dreams. Like, that's the type of shit that gets people excited and people really like the underdog story. So I think a lot of these guys in combat sports try and sell this story. But the truth is, they didn't come from that life. You know, Charles Oliveira is from the fucking favelas. Alex Pereira from the jungles behind the favelas. You know, there are guys that come from extreme adverse situations. And you don't hear them talking about it that much. Fair enough, these guys don't really speak English, but they don't really yarn about it. They just get on with it. You know, it's the middle-class guys like Ian Garry and like Israel Adesanya, they're always yarning on about how hard they had it growing up, when in reality, their neighbor was an 83-year-old lady who used to bake them cookies on the weekend. You know what I mean? Like, these guys are talking about how hard they had it coming up. They come from the fucking suburbs. You know, middle-class guys. They got into the sport probably because they were losers in high school and wanted to, you know, defend themselves and were extremely athletic and fair enough, became great at what they do. Just because you're from a middle-class background doesn't mean you can't be proud of becoming something. It's still incredibly impressive to come from, you know, basically just an average life to a world champion or challenging for the world title. That's still fucking impressive. You don't have to make the story out to be this crazy hardship just to make it sound even better than it already is. Like, you've already won, mate. You know, you've already won. So I don't know why these guys are always trying to make it out like they had it harder than they did. Just accept that, you know, your dad was an accountant, your mum was a doctor. You know, that's okay. You come from the nice part of town. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. He goes on to say, this is Sean Garry, "Oh no, you got paid to go to college and your mother was stressed. You got flown all over the world with boxing. You talk about them not supporting you." And then he goes on to talk about his dad getting involved. This is pretty much in response to Ian Garry talking shit and trying to make himself out to seem like he had it really tough growing up, when the reality is he didn't. He really didn't. And at the end of the day, whatever story he wants to tell himself to make himself feel better, he can do it. He can do it. But don't expect words and actions to not have consequences. His brother has come out and basically debunked everything he said on this podcast and said that it's pretty much all bullshit. Alongside that, Ian Garry has come out and said that women running the world would be better. Now, my personal take on this is it's a very two-dimensional understanding of reality. Men and women both have strengths. We both have our own skills that we bring to the table, and when we work together, we're unstoppable. But we can all work together. We're all humans. When we work together, that's when we're at our best. And so just saying men running the world's better or women running the world's better is an extremely immature take. And it's just bait. It's just bait. He's just trying to sound really progressive when he's not actually, and he's not actually about that life. He's just LARPing as a progressive feminist. And the truth is, he ain't. He really ain't. So that's another unlikable thing he's done. Ian Garry just fucking ticking the boxes on how to be unlikable. And finally, the icing on the cake. His wife took his last name. No, I'm just kidding. That's okay, fair enough, sure. The nutritionist lives with him. Yeah, this is weird. No, the icing on the cake is he's come out and said that he wants his family to, quote, wait 10 years and then he'll come out with the proof. It's like, why do you have a vendetta against your family? Like, this guy is hating on his mom, hating on his dad, just to make his story sound better. Ian Garry is just time and time again proving to be an unlikable, annoying, whiny little twat. Every time I see this guy, I think, fuck, this guy is him. He's 6'3". He's fucking sounding like McGregor. He's, actually got a decent style. It's a bit boring, but very technical. He's taken Shavkat Rakhmonov to a fucking close decision. This guy is the man. But I just can't get behind him. I can't get behind him because his personality is so grating and it's so unlikable. And that's before you even start talking about all the wife stuff, coming out and disabling comments on Instagram, blocking creators because they had a bit of fun with the situation. Like, this guy is a crybaby. He's trying to lie about sparring partners. He's been kicked out of multiple gyms. He got kicked out of the Leon Edwards gym. He's been kicked out of numerous gyms before that, just as he was about to win the Cage Warriors world title, as he was challenging for it, I believe. He got kicked out of a gym. He then went and joined Shoot Fighters in London. He got kicked out of that gym, tried to make up some fake beef with Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards doesn't know what 2 + 2 equals, let alone what beef means if it's not in a burger. I doubt Leon Edwards was beefing with anyone. He was probably just there trying to learn how to, speak. He was probably just there trying to practice his leg kicks. And Ian Garry's there, I want to roll with you. Let me roll with you. Let me watch you in the corner. Just being an unlikable, whiny idiot. And he gets kicked out of the gym probably because he was fucking being a cunt to the coaches and everyone there. That's what people have come out and said about Ian Garry. That's the main takeaway from all these gym stories, is that multiple occasions people have come out and said that he's a bad sparring partner, that he's a sore loser, that he'll hard spar when it's not hard sparring, and that he is hard to deal with. He'll show up late. He'll show up with all the cameras. His wife is there trying to micromanage everything. So not only is this guy annoying on the mic, throwing his own family under the bus, making up lies and false rumors about his upbringing, he's also a douchebag in the gym and trying to go hard on people, trying to make himself out to be the victim in all of these situations. And if this man wins the world title, my life is going to be over. My life will be over. This fucking bandwagon jumping douchebag, he's now at fucking Shoot the Box at Brazil with Charles Oliveira. He's found the most likable UFC fighter of all time, and he's decided to go pair up with him so that he can try and suck and leech some of the fan base from Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira is so nice, he probably wouldn't beef with someone who tried to kill his grandma. He'd probably end up forgiving them. He's such a nice guy. So he's working with Charles and the team over at Shoot the Box. How long until he gets kicked out of there? I wouldn't be surprised if he somehow finds a way to piss off Charles Oliveira, because he's the type of bloke that could fucking grate on anybody, to be honest with you. So yeah, that's the Ian Garry Chronicles. His brothers come out and said some crazy shit about him. His brothers basically debunked everything he said about his hard life. And the gym stories, the wife stuff, we don't need to get into that. That's been overdone. But the wife stuff is kind of crazy. He married he married a girl. He married a girl that wrote a book on how to be a gold digger. Like, I mean, I'm a pretty progressive guy, but I wouldn't exactly say that's the greenest of flags in a relationship. Just saying, when I'm looking for a girl, what's she like to talk to, what's her aspirations in life, how does she look, was she raised well, is she courteous, does she have manners, do we gel nicely together, did she write a book on how to be a gold digger? Like, that's probably not on the list of stuff I want from a future life partner. Even if the book was supposedly written in jest or is sarcastic irony, even though it's not, like, the book is pretty fucked up. It's a book on how to be a gold digger, basically. There's videos out there, you can go check that out. There's a lot of stuff with Ian Garry is what I'm getting at here. There's a lot of stuff going on. The wife, the nutritionist, the gym stuff, and now talking shit about his family. The list goes on and on. Ian Garry fighting for the world title. If he wins the world title, we're going to have probably the most unlikable champion since Bilal Muhammad. And that's saying something. And they're both welterweights. So maybe there's a curse there. Like and subscribe. Thanks for checking out the video. I thought I'd just share my thoughts on this. Ian Garry, I can't even say lock in. Like, he just can't change at this point. This is just who he is to a T. This is who he is. This is who he's been for the longest time. And he's a little suburban rich boy who's trying to make it out like he's from the hood. Come on, bro. You ain't one of us, G. Like and subscribe. I'll see you boys later. Much love.